Hello students, welcome to the EPG Pathshala. I am Ashok Goyal from the Department of Physics and Astrophysics. Today we are going to discuss about the scattering from central force fields from the paper Classical Mechanics. After studying this module, you should be able to understand how to transform the scattering processes from one frame to the another frame, in particular from the laboratory frame to the center of mass frame. You will be able to learn to obtain scattering cross sections for some specific central force fields like the inverse square, the cubic or so on. And then you will be able to learn to obtain scattering cross sections in particular from an inverse square force to obtain a very important result, namely the Rutherford scattering cross section. In the previous unit, we considered elastic collision between two particles in the center of mass frame and in the laboratory frame. We saw in particular that a lot of information can be obtained from the consideration of only the conservation laws, namely the laws of conservation of energy and momentum. And we define a scattering cross section and express it in the presence of a force field. In this unit, we will obtain the transformation of a scattering cross section for some specific central force fields, including constant potential well. We will derive expressions for the Rutherford scattering cross section. In order to obtain the transformation from the lab to the center of mass frame, remember that the number of particles scattered into a unit solid angle is invariant, and thus it remains same irrespective of the frame of reference used. In the center of mass, we have defined sigma theta d omega equal to sigma theta 2 pi sin theta d theta, where theta is the angle of scattering in the center of mass frame. Now, this is equal to sigma psi d psi, that is the quantity in the lab frame. So, sigma psi d psi, which is equal to sigma psi 2 pi sin psi d psi, is the expression in the lab frame, and psi is the scattering angle in the lab frame, theta being the scattering angle in the center of mass frame. We thus have the expression for sigma psi d psi in the lab frame in terms of sigma theta sin theta d theta divided by sin psi d psi. To evaluate d theta by d psi, let us refer to the figure shown. In the figure, you can see the v is the relative velocity between the center of mass frame and the lab frame. v1 is the velocity in the lab frame and v1 prime is the velocity in the center of mass frame. Applying the sine law to the triangle shown here, we have sine of theta minus psi divided by sine of psi is equal to v by v1 prime, which is equal to m1 by m2 is equal to a function of theta and psi, and let us call this function to be x. Then the derivative of this function f df is df by d theta into d theta plus df by d psi. Therefore, d theta by d psi can be written as minus df by d psi divided by df by d theta, which then becomes sine of theta minus psi into cosine psi divided by cosine of theta minus psi sine of psi plus is equal to sine of theta cosine of theta minus psi sine of psi. Substituting for d theta by d psi, we obtain sigma, that is cross section as a function of the angle psi, is equal to sigma of theta, cross section as a function of theta, into sine square theta divided by cosine of theta minus psi into sine square psi. Now all we need to now is to express sine theta and cosine theta minus phi in terms of the psi alone. From the equation earlier, 13.4, we have sine theta minus psi is equal to x sine psi, from which we can write that theta is equal to sine inverse x sine psi plus psi. So theta can be written as a plus psi, where a is equal to sine inverse of x sine psi, and therefore sine theta is equal to sine a plus psi, which can be expanded as shown here, and then we write sine theta as x sine psi plus under root of 1 minus x square sine psi multiplied by sine of psi, and cosine theta minus psi is equal to under root 1 minus x square sine psi. Putting these things together, we have the cross section as a function of psi is equal to the cross section as a function of theta multiplied by this factor, which is x cos psi plus under root 1 minus x square sine square psi whole square divided by under root of 1 minus x square sine square psi. Thus, in this way, we have obtained the scattering cross-section in the lab frame entirely in terms of the lab scattering angle psi. Now, if you look at the transformation equations 13.7 and 13.10, going from the lab frame to the center of mass frame, and you consider the specific case of scattering between two particles of equal mass, the m1 is equal to m2, then substituting this in the above equations, then theta you find, that is the scattering angle in the center of mass frame is twice the scattering angle in the lab frame, and sigma psi, that is the cross section expressed in the laboratory frame, is equal to 4 times sigma, that is cross section expressed in the center of mass frame, where theta is equal to 2 psi into cosine psi. Now, if you consider the case of scattering from a fixed center, so a projectile or particle m1 strikes a fixed target, which means m2 is at rest. So m1 is much smaller than m2, or m2 can be taken to be infinity. In that case, yes, the scattering angle psi in the lab frame is approximately equal to the scattering angle theta in the center of mass frame. Let us talk about Rutherford scattering. One of the most important scattering formula in physics is the Rutherford scattering formula. Rutherford scattering involved scattering of charged particles in an electrostatic field. Historically, Rutherford scattering was performed by colliding a beam of positively charged alpha particles onto the electrostatic field, which was provided by the positively charged gold nuclei. The potential for this case can be written as UR is equal to K by R, where K is positive if the force is repulsive and is negative for the attractive forces. Change in the scattering angle in the central field you are already familiar with and is given by the expression which I will mention, and I refer you to the equation 12.27. That is, the change in the scattering angle omega is equal to the integral form R minimum, the distance of minimum approach to the infinity when the particle scatters when it goes to infinity, of the integrand, which is B by R, where B is the impact parameter, divided by under root of R square minus KR by E naught minus B square. This equation can be easily integrated by substituting U for 1 upon R and by completing the square under the square root. We get cosine of omega is equal to k by 2 E naught b divided by under root of 1 plus k by 2 E naught b whole square. Now this equation can be solved for k by 2 E naught b in terms of the angle omega to give b square is equal to k square by 4 E naught square tangent square omega. Now the angle theta is related to the scattering angle theta in the center of mass frame by the expression theta is equal to pi minus 2 omega. Putting this in the solution for b square, we get b is equal to k by 2 E naught plus cotangent of theta by 2. Therefore, the differential cross section given in equation 12.24 becomes sigma theta is equal to b by sine theta db by d theta. The differential cross section sigma theta being expressed in terms of this expression and db by d theta is equal to minus k by 2 E naught 1 upon sine square theta by 2 and sine theta we know is 2 sine theta by 2 cosine theta by 2. Substituting this, we get sigma theta as k square by 4 E naught square 1 upon sine to the power 4 theta by 2. And you would have recognized this as the celebrated Rutherford scattering formula. And what does it say? It says that the scattering cross section in the center of mass frame varies as inverse fourth power of sine of theta by 2. The scattering cross section is furthermore independent whether the force is attractive or repulsive, since it is proportional to k square. Let us now consider scattering by hard sphere. So, consider a beam of particles incident on a perfectly elastic rigid sphere R. The particles will rebound from the surface of the sphere such that the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. The force field potential in this case can be considered that the potential as a function of r is equal to 0 for r greater than the radius of the hard sphere, and this potential is equal to infinity for r less than or equal to the radius of the sphere. Now if you refer to the figure which is shown here, a particle with an impact parameter b strikes the sphere at an angle alpha with the normal to the surface of the sphere A. After scattering, it moves along AB such that the angle of reflection is equal to the incident angle alpha. Again, refer to the figure, the scattering angle theta is simply given by pi minus 2 alpha, and the impact parameter b is r sine alpha, and substituting for alpha in terms of theta, impact parameter b becomes r cosine theta by 2. Now sigma theta, that is the cross section as a function of theta, is b by sine theta db by d theta. So that becomes r square cosine theta by 2 sine theta by 2 sine theta, which is r square by 4. And the total cross section is simply the integral of this over the entire angle d omega. So sigma is equal to sigma theta d omega from 0 to 4 pi, so which is equal to pi r square, and pi r square is what? Is equal to the total impact area available for scattering, such that the scattering cross section is equal to the total impact area available for scattering. Now let us consider scattering from a potential well. We define a potential well by a potential function u of r such that u of r is equal to 0 for all values of r greater than capital R, and inside the potential is constant, that u of r is equal to minus u naught. We take the potential to be attractive for r less than or equal to capital R. Now consider an incident particle of mass m traveling in a straight line which enters the potential well with a velocity v1. Inside the well, it moves under the force field and let its velocity be v2 inside. By the law of conservation of energy, the sum of the kinetic and potential energies inside and outside the well are equal. So outside the well, the total energy is half mv1 square. There is no potential energy. The potential is 0 outside. And inside it is half mv2 square plus u naught. Equating these two, we have the expression for v2 by v1 equal to E plus u naught by E, where capital E is the energy of the incident particle, which is half m v1 square with no potential energy at infinity. So this problem has spherical symmetry, that is, the potential energy depends only on the coordinate r. Thus the momentum at all points on the spherical surface of any radius has its component along the surface equal on either side of the wall. Thus, if the incident particle enters the well at an angle alpha and is refracted by an angle beta, where the angles are subtended by the particles with respect to the normal at the surface, then mv1 sin alpha is equal to mv2 sin beta, and v2 by v1 is sin alpha by sin beta is equal to n, let us say, which is something like the Snell's law of refraction of light at interface of two media. The scattering angle theta is pi minus 2 omega, and omega is equal to pi by 2 minus beta plus alpha. Therefore, theta is equal to twice alpha minus beta. So the impact parameter b is equal to r sin alpha implies that cosine alpha is under root of 1 minus b square by r square, and from the equivalent of refractive index n, which we defined earlier, which is sin alpha by sin beta, can be written as sin alpha upon sin alpha cosine theta by 2 minus cosine alpha sin theta by 2, and from this we have 1 upon n is equal to cosine theta by 2 minus sin theta by 2 under root of 1 minus b square by r square 1 upon br. This equation can be solved for b, and we get b square is equal to r square n square sin square theta by 2 divided by n square plus 1 minus 2n cosine theta by 2. So differentiating this with respect to theta, just simple algebra, and so we obtain b into db by d theta gives us the expression for sigma theta as simply equal to 1 by 4 n square into capital R square, that's the radius of the well, multiplied by a term which is n cosine theta by 2 minus 1, multiplied by another term which is n minus cosine theta by 2, the whole thing divided by cosine of theta by 2 into a term which is n square plus 1 minus 2n cosine theta by 2 whole square. You can see that since the maximum value of the impact parameter b is equal to r and the maximum value of theta is obtained by solving the earlier equation for r is equal to b, therefore the maximum value of the impact parameter, which is b is equal to r, and the maximum value of theta is obtained. So in the following way, the change in angle for a particle moving in the central force field is given by 1 is equal to n square sin square theta max divided by n square plus 1 minus 2n cosine theta max. You can solve this and you get cosine theta max by 2 is equal to 1 upon n. The total cross section is then obtained by integrating over theta from 0 to theta max. Therefore, the total cross section sigma t becomes 2 pi r square by 2, which is equal to pi r square. Now let us consider an example where the particle of mass m scatters by a potential field which is central and which varies as k by r square. From the expression for the scattering angle capital omega, which we have written earlier, then capital omega is equal to the integral from r minimum to infinity b by r square dr divided by under root of 1 minus b square by r square minus u by E naught, where U is the potential energy, and the scattering angle theta in the center of mass frame is simply theta is equal to pi minus 2 omega. Now we know that the angular momentum L is related to the impact parameter B through the relation L is equal to B multiplied by under root 2 mu E naught. In the present case, the potential field UR is K by R square. Changing the variable from R to 1 upon R is equal to U, then this angle can be expressed in terms of an integral over U, which can be evaluated, and we get omega is equal to pi by 2 into B divided by B square plus K by epsilon naught, the whole thing under root, which gives us omega square into B square plus K by epsilon naught is equal to pi square B square by 4. Now this can be simplified as shown in the slide, and we obtain B as 2 omega by pi under root K by epsilon naught divided into 1 by 1 minus 4 omega square by pi square under root, taking the derivative with respect to omega. dB by d omega becomes 2 by pi under root K by epsilon naught multiplied by 1 by 4 omega square by pi square divided by 1 minus 4 omega square by pi square to the power 3 by 2. Substituting now omega equal to pi minus theta by 2, where theta is the scattering angle in the center of mass frame, we can simplify this, and dB by d theta is given in the equation 13.41, and therefore the scattering cross section sigma theta, which is b by sine theta dB by d theta, is given by this expression in the equation 13.42. So, students, let us summarize what we have learned in this module. What we learned in this module is that for the elastic scattering of a particle of mass m1 onto m2, the scattering angles in the lab frame is half of the scattering angle in the center of mass frame if the two particles have the same mass. If the scattering takes place from a fixed center, in that case the center of mass scattering angle is equal to the scattering angle in the lab frame. We also learned that Rutherford scattering is independent of the fact whether the force is attractive or repulsive.